Hi, welcome back to the Drew Pearson Show. We're here with the one and only Chazz Palminteri. Welcome back to Texas.
Well, it's good to be back here, yeah.
Yeah, so you're here shooting a movie called Lifesaver. What can you tell us about this?
Well, Lifesavers is it's one of those movies that you know while you're watching it, you're just trying to figure out like what is really going on right now. It's a movie about a woman who obviously she has an alcoholic problem, and she unfortunately causes the death of her child, and from that come a series of events that just new events constantly, how her life changes right after that horrific event.
And this is with Tia Carrere, right?
With Tia Carrere and Terry Polo, yeah, exactly.
And you've worked with Tia before, correct?
I worked with Tia before, on a movie called, Scarred City many years ago. We didn't work together, but we were in the same movie, yes.
Well, have you gotten to do anything kind of interesting out here, or is it pretty much just work, work, work?
It's pretty much work every day because, I'm here only for a week, so they put all my scenes together every day. So, there's really not much you can do. You have to do your job, then go home, study, wake up, do it again, So I would really love to see Dallas. I'm out here in Clearborn, but maybe I'll get a chance to see Dallas at the end.
Well, we hope you get some fine dining in, maybe some barbecue or a good steak somewhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not a big meat eater, but I said I'm in Dallas. I'm going to have a little meat, so I want to get a little barbecue and a little, maybe even a little steak, and check it out.
Yeah. Now, one of our favorite movies, I think, collectively on the show is Bronx Tale.
Right.
And that movie has sort of had a long tail for you. Of course, you wrote it, you did the screenplay, you were in it, and
the one-man show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this has actually traveled to Houston and Austin.
Yes.
And we're hoping to see it in Dallas. But what's that been like to keep revisiting?
Well, I did the show 23 years ago, and that's what actually, made me a star, and that broke me, and it was my big break. And then people think the movie was first, then the one-man show. No, it was the one-man show. That's what De Niro saw. Robert De Niro came to see the one-man show, and he loved it, and that's how the movie got made. I mean, people don't realize that at the time when I first did it, I was on Broadway, an actor. But then nobody really knew me, and then I wrote this one-man show about this killing that I saw when I was a little kid. My real name is Colodro, and my father was a bus driver, and I saw this killing when I was 9 years old, and I befriended these wise guys, these mafia guys, and then thus began this tug-of-war between my father and those guys, and it's not like Sonny was telling me to do something bad. Basically, Sonny was really a good guy telling me not to do it, but my father always said, just being around those guys, the influence is bad. I don't want you doing that. But I had fun with those guys, and that was the tug-of-war. Then finally, you realize when Sonny was killed, the boy has a catharsis and realized that his father was right. So my dad's the one who said the line, "The saddest thing in life is wasted talent." I wrote that in the movie, but that's actually my father's line. He used to tell me that, and I put that in, and it became this thing that people just refer to all the time in sports a lot. Mm-hmm. You see it in the newspapers. You see it in the business. When someone who is very talented, wastes their talent and they die early. They always bring that line in there, when Amy Winehouse died, when River Phoenix died, and they always bring that line up, from Bronx Tale, Chazz Palminteri is the saddest thing in life is wasted talent, I'm very honored by that, but it's just sad that some people just don't get it and they waste it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what a great night that was. I mean, you've done the play, and then you find out Mr. De Niro's in your dressing room, and then that turns into a great
I mean, it was pretty amazing because originally, they didn't want me in the movie when the studio got it. They just wanted to buy my rights, the first studio, and they offered me $250,000, and I had $200 in the bank at the time, and I said, wait a minute, I want to play Sonny, and I want to write the screenplay, and they said no, and I said, well, then I'm not giving it to you, and they said fine, and they hung up. And then about a week later, another studio offered me $500,000. And again, I had $200 in the bank, and people thought I was nuts. And I refused. I was living in this little dump apartment in L.A., in Studio City, and I wouldn't do it. And then finally, about 3 weeks later, another big studio came in. They offered me $1 million to just turn it over the rights to them so they could make it themselves. And again, I said, I refused, and I said, I will not do it unless I play Sonny and I write the screenplay. And about 2 weeks later, then De Niro walked into the theater and saw the show. He came backstage and, at the end of it and came into my dressing room and said, look, it's a great show. It's probably, it's one of the best one-man shows I've ever seen. He goes, it'll make a great movie. And I said, yeah, Bob. But he goes, I know. You want to play Sonny and you want to write the screenplay. And I said, yes. He goes, well, I'll tell you how I feel. He goes, I think you should play Sonny because you'd be great at it. And he goes, and you should write the screenplay because it's about your life, and who knows that better than you? And he goes, I'll play your father and I'll direct it and we'll go partners. And if you shake my hand, that's the way it'll be. I shook his hand and that's the way it was.
Such a great story.
Yeah.
And turned into a great friendship too.
Yes, we've made 4 movies together. We've been friends for 24 years now. My kids play with his kids and we're great friends. And he's a great man and he gave me my break and I'll always be indebted to him for that.
Yeah. So when did you first catch the acting bug? What was it?
Oh, I was about 10, 11. I wanted to be an actor when I was very, very young. I used to imitate the lines and say the lines, do it on the street corner, all that stuff. And I just wanted to be an actor, And then the writing thing came later. It's one of those things that, I don't know, if I wasn't an actor, I don't know what I always said if I wasn't an actor, what I would do, I would probably want to be I would have liked to have been maybe a psychiatrist. I don't know if I would have had the grades to do that, but I sure would have tried. I kind of had average grades in college, but I just always wanted to, I was a drama major. I wanted to be an actor.
Well, and this has led you into some interesting things. You've got a radio show, and you've also got a restaurant, and it's kind of a wide variety of things you've gotten yourself into.
Well, I believe in, it's a brand. You become a brand. You take your brand, and then you sell it, and I have my own website, which is called AskChazz.com, and that's for people who want to know things about the business, who are trying to break into the business, that want to know things, but it's also people who want to talk about sports or anything like that, and I have a show on Sirius Radio, that'll be coming on after, I did it for a month, and now I'm going to be doing it again starting after New Year's, called Ask Chazz, where people call up and talk about sports or talk about their life, and that's where that psychiatry comes in. It's kind of a street psychiatry, I've been in therapy for 20 years, so my own shrink said that I would have made a great shrink, so, because I get right to the heart of the matter,
And tell me a little bit about the restaurant.
Well, I have a restaurant called Chazz, a Bronx original. It's Italian food, obviously. And we're in Baltimore, right on it's right on the Inner Harbor East, actually. And it's right on the water, and it's a great restaurant. And John Mariani of the Esquire magazine said it was one of the top 3 pizzas in the United States. The Vitale brothers run it for me, and we're partners, all of us, the 3 of us. And it's a great restaurant.
And your wife is an actress as
well?
My
wife is an actress, yeah. My wife is an actress and a writer, and she's a producer, and my wife, Gianna, and my son, Dante, and my daughter, Gabriella. My son is 17, my daughter, Gabriella, is 10. They've both been in 4 or 5 shows at the Broadway Westchester Theater, where they performed, and they both had the leads in a lot of them, and they're just wonderful singers. My son has a great rock band called Camus, and they love the business too. So, I'm like, hey, you like it, do it, just do good in school and do whatever you want.
So is that your advice to them?
Yeah, a lot of people, Paul, tell you, they say, oh, I don't want my kid in the business, talk her out of it, talk him out of it. And I always say, you know what, the business is so hard and there's going to be so many people telling them no, that really they don't need their parents to tell them no. Because the reality is that if they can't do it, don't worry, they'll stop. Because there's so many people going to be beating them up and telling them no, they can't do it, that if they don't have the talent or they don't have the will and the perseverance, they'll stop. It's just too hard. So they might as well have their family on their side, because really only 2 things could happen if you constantly tell your child they shouldn't be in the show business. One is they'll make it and they'll resent you, or 2, they won't make it and they'll resent you. So it's bad. So you might as well be on their side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great advice. And did you ever get some advice from someone that you looked up to? Did you have an inspiration or role model that you finally met that said something to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the role model was my dad, Lorenzo Palminteri. He was just, and my mom, they just lived you know, we didn't have a lot of money, but they just, I never thought we didn't have, I always felt we was normal, but when I got older, I realized, wow, we didn't have a lot of money. You know, but everybody in my neighborhood didn't have a lot of money, so it was okay, you know, but my father was an incredibly honest, stand-up Sicilian, and if you saw Bronx Tale, that was my dad, you know. You know, wouldn't give in to the wise guys when they offered him money to run the numbers. He just would not do anything wrong, you know. And he said, you know, I don't want to live my life looking over my shoulder, he said. That's what he used to say. You know, he said, you do the right thing, good things will happen, son. And so he was really my role model.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And you've been in some wonderful productions, and I was kind of curious about what you feel about the Italian Americans portrayed in film, you know, because obviously it's something very close to you and a sensitive thing.
Well, I mean, are there some movies where they portray the Italian American as a gavone and dumb? Yeah, you know, I try not to be in those films. Number one. And people go, well, Chazz, you know, you're in some of these mafia movies. I go, yes, I am. But if you look at Bronx Tale, when I wrote Bronx Tale is not really a mafia movie. Bronx Tale is a family movie. Bronx Tale is a father and a family telling the boy to do the right thing. So there's a positive message there. And people who see Bronx Tale take a positive message out of that. It's not Goodfellas, which Goodfellas was a great movie. And what Marty did in Goodfellas, he wanted to show you how despicable these people were. So, I mean, it's true life, and that's art, and you have the right to do that. I think when a person is, when it's just done badly, then it's wrong, you know. But if you look at Bronx Tale, I don't think that's a family movie. When I did Cheech in Bullets Over Broadway, I mean, here was a hitman who was a genius playwright. So if I could find something with a positive trait in the character, then I'll play it, you know. But it's art, you know. I mean, come on now. We get so full of ourselves sometimes. You know, I saw The Sopranos. I liked The Sopranos. I thought Sopranos was a good show. It was very well written, very well acted and directed. But Italian Americans were raising our arms. You know, look, when you put drama on the screen, you cannot. What do you want to have? Just a guy being a nice guy and you know, just doing the right thing all the time? There's no drama there. What makes a story? Good versus evil. That's what a story is. You have to show the bad to show the light. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love seeing documentaries of, you know, Christopher Columbus. His real name was Columbus. He was Italian. I love to see those things. But, you know, to do drama, to do a movie, you have to have some kind of conflict. Yes, but is there some things where it's portrayed dumb and in poor taste? Yes, there is. Do I like that? No. But you know what? This is America. You have the right to do that. You know, I'd rather be in a country where we could do anything we want than be in a country where they could tell me how to do my art. So as far as art goes, I say all bets are off. You have to suck it up and take the bad with the good.
Absolutely. Well, you've got some really, really interesting movies coming out, and of course, we're really curious about the Gotti movie.
Yeah, well, the Gotti movie didn't even start yet. The Gotti movie, that's going to be, I'm hoping next year. I mean, that's been on and off for a while now. We'll see what happens. And I mean, Al Pacino, that's what Al Pacino, John Travolta, and myself. We'll see what happens with that, and I hope, you know, it comes off.
Yeah, and also Henry and Me.
Henry and Me is a animation cartoon, which I play Babe Ruth. And, you know, I'm a big baseball fanatic, you know, playing Babe Ruth, come on. I mean, one of, you know, the greatest Yankee of all, you know, the great Babe, you know. So, you know, I'm a real diehard sports fan. I'm a total Yankee fan, so crazy with the Yankees.
And you've also got the Stone Pony.
Yeah, Stone Pony. We'll see what happens with that. You know, that's another independent thing that's coming out. You know, independent movies are different than the big movies because they get released sometimes not in the 2,000 arenas. You know, so sometimes they come out in just the main cities, and you hope they catch on and they move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said you're a big sports fan. And
yeah.
Who are some of your favorite teams?
Well, I mean, as a Yankee fan, I'm a Yankee and Rangers and Knicks Those are the Giants. If you're a Yankee fan, you're usually a Giant and Knicks and Rangers. If you're a Net fan, then you go with the Jets. You see, But I've always been a Yankee fan. I used to go to. My dad took me there when I was a kid. It was great. Great seeing Mantle and Maris. I was very young, but I remember that. And Mantle was my favorite Yankee back then. And Derek Jeter is my favorite Yankee now. I think he really just epitomizes what a Yankee is. But he really had. The thing I like about Jeter is he's not only a great player, he's a great person. Mantle and DiMaggio, they were great players, but they were little suspects when it came to their lives, to be honest with you. But Jeter has it all together, which is great.
Now, I know you were never really a Cowboys fan, but
no.
But you gotta love Drew.
I was never a Cowboy fan, no, but I always admired the Cowboys, mm-hmm. and I was always jealous of them, especially 70s and 80s, because they were like American. I said, who calls yourself America's team? I go, what do you mean America's team? But I always admired them. They always had like class and style, and I thought Drew Pearson was just a great player. The thing that I admired about him was, and I knew this, he was undrafted, and you think about that. Here's a guy who's undrafted and becomes one of the greatest Cowboys, one of the 10, in the Ring of Honor. So there's a guy who really epitomizes, not wasting your talent. Wasn't fast, wasn't really fast, didn't have blazing speed, but had great hands and ran great routes. So it goes to show you, people who take the talent that they have and they just, expand on that. Mm-hmm. Where people, if you want to talk about other people, I hate to bring up names, but you get certain, what was his name? Who was that quarterback? The guy had all the tudes. Leaf, his first name, Ryan Leaf, 6'5". Come on, the guy was like incredible, but the talent, he had all this talent, but something wasn't right, So how does that work? There was Drew, not drafted. Here was Ryan Leaf, who was drafted like number 2. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Peyton Manning was ahead of him. So how does that happen? So it's will and what you really want to do with the talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a big fan of sports films?
Yeah. I love sports films, man. Yeah. I could watch anything. I could watch golf. I could sit, if there's a sports thing on, I could watch golf. I could, I watch football games that I have nothing, my team's not playing, but I watch it, because I enjoy the game, man. I like the competition of the game. I really do.
Well, and you like getting the callers, too.
Yeah.
Sports discussions.
I call up the fan in New York, and when I get upset, I hear people talk about the Yankees or say something dumb, and I'll call up, and there's something about sports that, I played baseball and I played basketball, and I was never good enough to be a professional, obviously, but I love playing the game, I enjoyed it. I was an athlete. I loved playing, but I didn't have the talent to be good like that. My talent was something else.
Yeah. And how much interest did you have in music?
Oh, I had a lot of interest in music. I actually started out as a singer with bands. I traveled all over the world, in fact. So I enjoy doing all of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and the craft of acting is a really, really interesting one, and you've been validated. What was it like getting an Oscar nomination?
Well, it's you as a young actor, you always you're holding a hairbrush, thinking it's the Oscar, giving you a speech, and then one day you're really, you're up there. They say your name, and the 5 guys, and you go, wow. So it was kind of surreal. I think the next time it happens, if it does, I hope, I'll be much more, enjoying the moment. That first time was pretty surreal to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's got to be pretty strange, but a nice validation, right?
Oh yeah, but you know what? It's great, but there are a lot of great actors who were never nominated for Academy Award, who are just as great as anybody. You know, Edward G. Robinson is great actor. You know, never got an Academy Award. You know, so he was a great actor.
So what kind of advice would you give to actors that are looking to come up in the business now? I mean, it's a very different business than when you started. Well,
yeah, well, it's a lot harder now, obviously, to be an actor, and I would say just, you know, as an actor, you have to act. You know, try to be in these low budget. You know, get into a low budget film to be seen. Get into a showcase in Manhattan. Work for free. That's what I did. I mean, I worked for free. I did, you know, showcases. Worked my head off, my ass off for 6 weeks of rehearsals and doing it for free. But then I got noticed by a casting director and they signed me. You know, so.
Well, is there anything else you have coming up that we should know about before?
Like I said, I'm really excited about this film, Lifesaver. You know, when I read the script, it just had such a unique twist to it. You know, and it was one of those movies that had a real twist to it. You know, Jeffrey and Elaine Dell brought it to me, and I read it, and I just thought that this would really make an interesting movie. You know, and I like movies that have twists to it, that you never know what's happening. And this is really one of those movies that, you know, is on top of the charts when it comes to that, you know. So I'm excited about doing the movie. I'm excited about coming here to Texas and doing it here and working with Terry and Tia and, you know, just, and Barbara, the director. And so it's just a good cast, a good script. You know, all you could do is you put the movie out there. I always go, it's good script, good cast, good producer. Okay, let's see what happens. You never know.
That's true.
You don't know, you know, but you take a shot. You have those things, you take a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're honored to have you here, and thank you so much for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, Paul, that's good stuff with Chazz Palminteri, man. He's got some great movies coming out, and one day maybe he'll act or play a role in the Drew Pearson story. And I got the perfect role for him. He could play Coach Tom Landry. What do you think?
I'd love to see that.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Might need to shave his head, though.
Yeah, you got to shave that pretty looking hair, black hair you got there, Chazz. Well, you can do it. That'd be pretty cool. But anyway, what a great time we had tonight. Great lineup for the Drew Pearson Show. I want to thank all my special guests, the Drew Pearson Show. So next week, I'm looking forward to it. We'll have another great show for you. And so stay tuned always to the Drew Pearson Show. See you next week.